We like.
Congrats, Saeed.
Yo, people, what's going on?
Are you good, fam? We was live for like 10 seconds. And you just didn't say nothing. Was you sorting something out? Yeah.
No, I literally was thinking I was ready. But now, listen, this is my kind of day, people. Love. Listen, big up to the community. Welcome to Man United Unfiltered. Big up to you guys for tuning in. Make sure you smash a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And like I said, the World Cup is on tomorrow, so we thought we don't want to miss the content today. And we want to make sure you guys are enjoying the content. We got James in the building. James, how are you, mate? Everything all good?
Yeah, all good, man. Blessed, alive, breathing, happy, fit, healthy. So all good this end.
Absolutely. Double A, man. It's good to have you back on, man. Big up to you, bro. What are you telling me?
Yeah, good to be back. Obviously missed the last one. It feels like, don't feel like a week without being on this show. So it's good to be back. Yeah, man, I'm all good, man. Looking forward to the World Cup ending finally, and then getting back to Manchester United, being back and playing regular.
Absolutely. And a flawless. What are you telling me, bro? Everything good?
Yeah, man. Blessed. It's good to be back on here. As always, big up for having me and looking forward to the show, man. Unfiltered podcast is always good. Always interesting.
Absolutely, man. What's everyone feeling in terms of, you're joining the World Cup, but is everyone like raring for club football this time?
I'm ready.
Wednesday,
I'm ready for club football, man. I'm ready, man. As much as I've enjoyed the World Cup, I'm ready for club football. 100%.
Absolutely, man. What you say, Double A, man? I enjoyed the World Cup, but like I said, United are back around the corner. How's everything?
Yeah, it's nice to be in that World Cup bubble. But then I think, for me, once your team's out of it, like today's game, I watched a little bit. I wasn't really that bothered. I think his eyes on tomorrow, especially for United, because you've got a player on both teams. So 100% a World Cup winner's coming back to the squad. But yeah, let's get back to Ten Hag's double Dutch Reds and trying to get back in the Champions League.
Absolutely. And obviously, James is excited. He's got Old Trafford in the background. Lovely summer day over there. Not so summery right now, but listen, it is what it is. And cold winter nights at Old Trafford. You can't beat it, can you?
Cold Trafford, mate. That's what it is.
Yeah. Rain Trafford as well, man. You know what I mean? If you're under the roofs and that, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. But yeah, listen, we've got a lot to discuss today. We've got some kind of breaking news today that came out today around midday. And it's not the news that I wanted because everybody knows what I think about David De Gea. But David De Gea, this is a reporter here from, I think it's Sky Germany, very, very reputable, Florian Plettenberg. He says, news on De Gea. We've been told that Man United at this stage is not considering to pull his clause to extend for one more year. Ten Hag is open to getting to a new number one, but the player would like to stay beyond 2023. Current salary between, obviously, a lot of money, 80 to 20 million pound a year, confirmed. That is from Florian Plettenberg. Let's start off with you, James. What did you make when you saw the news about this? Does it surprise you? What's your overall feeling towards this?
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised, to be honest, because taking all biases and agendas aside, I think he's been pretty good this season, right? I think everyone could admit, even whether you like him or not, that he's improved. His distribution has improved. His shot stopping has always been excellent. His command of the area is better. His starting position is better. And I thought Ten Hag would be happy with him, to be honest. And I'm with you on the David De Gea thing. I'm a big David De Gea fan. And yes, he's got his flaws, but we've got multiple holes that we need to plug in that team before we plug the goalkeeper situation. And people that have been clambering for people like Diogo Costa, I mean, like the guy that rolled out the ball, not realizing someone was behind him, the guy that was beaten in the air to a header by the Moroccan striker. People make mistakes, but people seem to just throw it on De Gea all the time. And I think he's been a good servant for us. He's won 5 players of the season. He's improved under Ten Hag. And if we're giving players a chance to improve under Ten Hag, then De Gea has to fall under that bracket as well.
Absolutely. Double A, what are you saying? Obviously, there's a lot of money that he's on right now. Obviously, is that a factor for you, or is it what most people think, that United need a modern day keeper right now?
Well, when everyone says a modern day keeper, I think, what is that? It's a bit of a
It's a new catchphrase, isn't it, for these?
It is. And I think a lot,
it is, though, it is. Modern day people.
I'm gonna let Double A go in it. I'm gonna let Double A say his piece. Go on.
No, bro. If you got something to jump on, you go.
No. It's cool. Like, say your piece because he asked you in it. I'm just laughing at the whole catchphrase thing. That just made it caught me off guard. That's all it was. That's all it is. It caught me off guard.
And it's true. You know, before the World Cup, everyone was screaming Diogo Costa. He's had not a great World Cup, and then now all of a sudden he's not the flavour of the month. And I think no matter who is in the frame, there's going to be question marks over anyone. And I agree with James, and I think we even did it when we were scoring the players and how they performed so far. I think him and Delo are battling out for the most improved under Ten Hag. He's done everything that's been asked of him from Ten Hag, and he's improved immensely in everything that was apparently to some fans. It was shite at, and the reason why we need a new goalkeeper. He's 31, is he? I believe he's still got time. I don't think he deserves the 18 to 20 million that's being bandied around. But United are used to or have a history of throwing money at players, as we've seen it from numerous occasions. I'd like him to stay. I don't think we're in any rush to get a keeper in, maybe bring a young backup in, and then on 2 or 3 years, they take over from De Gea. But for me, I think, like James said, there's far more holes to be plugging than looking at the goalkeeper situation.
Big up to Zamiasi. He says De Gea can be a backup to Ramsdale, who's now the best goalie. If Ramsdale had played he would have stopped France's goals. Southgate out and Mourinho as England manager. Listen. Zamiasi, I don't know what you're smoking tonight in the shisha pipe and that, but let us know, man, what you smoking tonight. You know what I mean? I know it's a Saturday night, but just lay off the pipe, man. Lay off the pipe. Big up to Caleb. Big up to you for supporting the channel, mate. He goes, I'm not ready for the club football, only Middle East owners. Obviously, Caleb is so keen on the Glazers leaving, but that kind of story is going to be an ongoing process, as Avram Glazer says. But Flawless, give me your point of view towards the news that you've just brought in now, before we look at the wider perspective of David De Gea and whatnot. Does it surprise you? Are you kind of like, you know what, it's about time that we move on from David De Gea? What's your feeling, bro?
I am surprised about it. It is the last thing I did expect to hear, because he has improved. We all know David De Gea is a good goalkeeper. Like, when it just comes to just like the more traditional goalkeeping things, like you mentioned, the catchphrase of modern day goalkeeping, that's what he's not as good at, but he has improved this season. But if Ten Hag, we all seen what happened right at the start of the season when Ten Hag wanted to play a certain way. And if you want to play out from the back, which Ten Hag wants to do, it seems, because that was initially what he tried. We've kind of abandoned that now. David De Gea is not your guy. That's legit what it is. And he don't have them attributes at the highest level. Like, when you compare him to Alisson, when you compare him to Edison, these are the teams we're chasing. This is what you now need in 2022 from a goalkeeper. Same way, from a striker, you don't have a striker who just scores goals. Yes, you want your striker to score goals, but they have to offer much more than that. And David, you can't just have a goalkeeper who just shot stops, who just comes for crosses. You're also starting attacks. And like I said, refer back to right at the start of the season, the opening 2 games. We've seen it. Has David De Gea improved? Yes, but he's on a lot of money. And this is clear to see that he's not Ten Hag's guy. What am I saying? I want him out? No. If David De Gea was to stay, I'm like, cool. But if he's on the way out, so be it. Like, that's how I look at it with David De Gea. Because yes, he's had a good season this season. Last season he was good, but the 2 seasons before that he wasn't so good. So that's how I'm looking. Like, I like the fact we're trying to improve and move up, because we couldn't sell him because of the amount of money he's on. He's on big money. So to command the transfer fee and then get somebody to cover his wages. So that's why I'm like, I'm not like, get David De Gea out. There is bigger issues in the side, but that needs to be addressed. I'm with Ten Hag on it. If he wants David De Gea gone and he wants to bring in a new modern day goalkeeper, which is going to help us, is what it is. I know catchphrase and all that, but it's true.
Yeah, absolutely. Big up to Joey Lopez. Big up to you, mate. He goes, Eric Ten Hag saving Glazer's money again. He goes, another big contract off the books. Track record speaks volumes. I think that's a bit harsh. I'll be honest with you. Even though for me, I want David De Gea to stay. I think he is thinking what's best for the club. But at the same time, At the same time, James, to lose him on a free would be crazy, wouldn't it? Like, I think for me, you give David De Gea a contract, but you give it on a lower fee. And I think he would be willing to accept that. I think so, especially in this part of his career. You keep him as backup with a view intention that you have two keepers fighting for the same spot. That's what I would do, basically, rather than putting pressure on another keeper who comes in and then later on he might not fit the bill and then you have to bring on, I don't know, Dubravka for 10 games just to kind of make sure. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want that kind of situation happening, do you? That's why I'm a bit surprised they're willing to not give him a contract. And then obviously he'd be out of contract in 2023.
Yeah, it's a tough one, but you've got to look at David De Gea's opinion in all of this and whether he would be happy playing a backup role, right? Like, he didn't even make the 54 in the Spain squad. So if you're looking at it from him, he might think, right, I've got maybe 2 more World Cups that I can play in as a goalkeeper. I don't want to be rotating. I can't even get in the Spain squad as it is. If I'm not playing consistently for my team, then I'm never going to get back in and I'm never going to play another major tournament for my country. So you've got to look at it from that point of view. Would he be happy to accept a wage cut? I don't know. You'd have to ask him. But on the wage thing, like we all know that it's a lot of money for a goalkeeper and it is far too high. But then you've got to look at the reverse, right? Man United have been doing this under Woodward for years. And if you're David De Gea and you've won 5 players of the season and Alexis Sanchez comes in and gets 400 grand a week, I'd be knocking on the door of Ed Woodward and going, he's on 400 grand. He's done nothing. He's unproven. I've saved you for 5 seasons in a row. I want at least 300. I don't care where I play. I'm player of the season, mate. So he has every right to demand that. The club under the Glazers and under Ed Woodward have set in place a very, very poor wage structure. We throw money. We always haggle over transfer fees, trying to save 5-10 million here and there, which we never actually end up saving. And then we just go and spunk it all on wages anyway, because we just agree to pay people whatever they want per week and it all adds up. So that's their fault. That's the Glazers' fault. It always comes back to them. But David De Gea is entitled to ask for that. And he's also entitled to turn down a pay cut if he wants to. It just comes down to how much he wants to stay at the club or not.
Double A, in terms of leaving on a free, is that something that you think you were surprised at that point there, the fact that you're not willing to give him a contract at all? Do you reckon, and the same question really is that, do you reckon David De Gea would lower his wages? Do you reckon he'd be doing that, knowing that he's got that kind of affection for the football? He's been here for almost more than 10 years. Do you reckon he'd lower his wages? Is it a dispute about wages, or do you think it's more than that?
I don't think it's a dispute with wages, because it sounds like they've maybe not even got in the room together to talk about a new contract. He's not coming out saying he's refusing. It's more the club aren't going to take up the option. So it sounds like a club decision that Ten Hag is looking at a new number one and will take another year maybe to assess who he wants to go and get. Would he drop his wages? I mean, we're seeing a lot of love for Ander Herrera today, which knocked me a little bit sick. As okay as he was as a Manchester United player, people seem to forget he was trying to hold the club to ransom, whether rightly or wrongly, because they stalled on offering him a contract. I'm not watching these videos thinking, oh, Ander, I feel sorry for you, mate. I mean, if you love the club as much as you say, you could have dropped your demands and earned still good money and still be at the club. Maybe, who knows? So I don't agree. Players are out for them at the end of the day. Short career, they're going to try and get as much money as possible. And I don't think, we wouldn't do it if we can get money elsewhere. Why should we drop wages? And like I said, he's been here a long time. I don't hate on the fact he may want to go out and earn money somewhere else. That's absolutely fine with me. But if this is another thing that's creeping into Manchester United's game in terms of letting players run the contract down, and that's a lot of that. I would say is not necessarily the fact we don't want them anymore. It's the fact we can't sell them. United are notorious at being really bad at selling players because inflated wages. They're happy to sit around. Phil Jones is a perfect example of this because he's not played regular football for 5-6 years, and yet he's approaching 30 and his career's dwindling. He's not motivated to move and go and play football because he's on absolutely astronomical wages that he won't get anywhere else. So I can understand De Gea's point of view if he's standing firm and saying, I want this money, and I can understand the club coming back under Ten Hag and saying, that's not how we're operating anymore. So again, I'm like you, I'd like him to stay, but we got to back the manager, and if he says someone else, we go with someone else. Simple as that.
Is this big up to Caleb? He's going to make the point that I was going to make as well. His wage structure is a mess. What happens to Rashford? Is this flawless like a feeling that Ten Hag has looked at thinking, listen, you man have not won anything. What's going on? Contract here. Luckily, Bruno, it came before he came in, so he didn't really have a say in that one.
Well,
Would he have sanctioned that Bruno one? Maybe not. But it looks like Ten Hag's cracking down maybe on these wages and whatnot, and how many players maybe not motivated after that if they're on a bigger wage. Do you think he's also cracking down on that, or?
Yeah, I think it's
isn't great, is it? Especially with Rashford.
Yeah, I think it's both. I think it's both. When you look at the players that left in the summer, we cleared a lot of wages. Pogba left, Lingard left, Cavani left. I swear there's a couple others who I can't remember.
Ronaldo's gone.
Yeah, Ronaldo's now gone. Look how much money we've cleared already off we've a lot of our big earners in the last 6 months have left. Now you add De Gea into the mix, that's another one. So a man mentioned Rashford there. Who knows what's going to go on with Rashford? So I think he's obviously looking at player quality and looking at players on the pitch and going, all right, I'll pay the money if I believe a player is good enough. But he's also looking at it, if we can clear these wages, because does De Gea get his money elsewhere? No. De Gea's options, and as if you actually weigh up his options, how many options does he have? If he was to leave on a free, where is he going to? He's not going to a top club in Europe because all the goalkeepers is sold. So so you're not getting that money. 2, you're not going to a club. It's either there's probably the same level as Manchester United or a lower level. And that's probably how he's looking at it. Because like I say, goalkeeper. Look, if you look at the top, so we ain't going anywhere in the Premier League. Maybe Chelsea. Chelsea might come in for him because Mendy, you got Kepa. Maybe Chelsea, but Real Madrid, they're settled. Barcelona's a mess. We all know about that. PSG have Donnarumma's there. Navas is there. So where you go and Bayern Munich have Neuer unless he decides to go there. But your options are very limited. So yeah, that's what it is. I like someone mentioned they're ruthless in this comment here. So yeah, he's probably looking at it in terms of wages, and he's probably looking at it in terms of player quality. And like I said, am I saying push De Gea out the door? No, but I believe De Gea, if he wasn't moved on now, would eventually be moved on. Because I don't think, and this is just me speculating of what I've seen, he's not what Ten Hag wants.
Yeah. Is that similar to you as well, James? This comment here, Alex, you know what I mean? Sancho, obviously there's deeper problems with him, but you know, the physical side of it as well, him not maybe keeping the same level of intensity, and certain players are on certain wages, and he's thinking, right, hold on a minute. You know what I mean? We've got a wage structure like this, but then I need my philosophy, the culture of where I am playing, and he's bringing it now, and he's toughening up, and he's saying, listen, I've got to make big decisions, and maybe De Gea is one of them. Maybe he's like, you know what? I've got to do this for the next kind of cycle of what I want to bring. And obviously now, 350 grand a week for him. Other people are on big wages now. It's like a cleansing now. What he's got to do, really.
Yeah, I like that comment, to be honest, because the whole Sancho situation is really interesting. He's dealt with it in a way that no other manager probably would have dealt with it. There's been a split in the fan base for a while about people that are really annoyed that we're not successful, and they're kind of like, they're just like, they think we're entitled to be successful because we were 20 years ago. And there's the people that are grateful that we had the success, and then they're just accepting the fact we're going through a transition now and we'll get back in the future. And the argument for the first lot of people is no, we're Manchester United, we should have standards. And I'm not saying which side of the fence that I'm on, but Ten Hag is clearly on that first side, and he is trying to set standards that Manchester United should have. And listen, it doesn't matter whether you're signed for £80 million. It doesn't matter if you're on £300,000 a week. If you're not performing, if you're not fit enough, if you're not mentally in the right place, and you don't add anything to my 11, you're sitting on the bench, mate. And at the end of the day, if he wants to bring those standards, we all agreed that this is the manager we wanted. We all agreed that he had to come in and we were going to back him. So if he's dealing with Sancho in that way, we have to think it's right and get behind Ten Hag, right?
Yep. Well.
Yeah, I think for me, ultimately, that's going to be the situation. But again, I just think for me, with this David De Gea situation, what keepers out there, double A? I know we looked at Diego Costa. We're looking around with Jan Sommer. Jan Sommer, is he the answer? I don't know. I'm just looking at this keeper, what I'm thinking. I'd rather for me take my time with it rather than go and get, because we've got back in the day Fabian Barthez. I mean, listen, people can say he was a decent keeper, but there was a little bit.
Don't remind me.
You know what I mean? David Barthez, man. Andy Carroll, Tim Howard. I'm saying, listen, it can go wrong. You know, I'm just saying it can go wrong.
Oh, absolutely. You know, Flawless raised a good point before. All the world-class keepers at the world-class teams, you know, unless we're going to go and fork out big money on a keeper that's already established, or what I think we should do, look to bring an up-and-coming keeper in and let them work under an established keeper like De Gea. He may not be the modern keeper that we all think he is, but he's got a lot to offer in teaching a young goalkeeper how to be at a club like Manchester United. We should absolutely use that experience, bringing the next number one through. But, I mean, you know, Diogo Costa, I like him a lot. He's been outstanding for 18 months or so at Porto. You know, to judge him off 4 or 5 games at a World Cup is very, very harsh. And that goes for any player, not just a goalkeeper. I would like to see someone like that. There's obviously is it Mike Maignan over at AC Milan as well?
Yeah, I like him.
Mike
Maignan.
Yeah,
people mention him a lot.
I think they're probably the 2 standout candidates. You know, Jan Sommer for me, he's no better than David De Gea, so he comes in as a backup anyway, I think. And then obviously there's Sanchez as well, Raya, even Sarr. There's a few in the Premier League you can look at. But I think, you know, this goes back to that point Flawless raises again and again and again. This is where the scouting network comes into play. They should have these little gems in their back pocket already in Ten Hag's ear saying, listen, not many people know about this guy. Get him in now. Couple of seasons with De Gea as a number 2. Bang, he's your number 1. When De Gea leaves, if his contract runs out also. So we've still got a season and a half with De Gea if he does leave at the end of his contract. It's not the end of the season, is it? It's the season after.
No, it's this end of the season.
It's 2023, isn't it?
Oh, right.
End
Well,
of 2023.
I can't imagine United are going to let De Gea go in 6 months. I can't see it because it doesn't make sense for that's a short space of time to make sure you get the right number 1 in. To be honest with you, unless you know we've not mentioned it, the unthinkable happens and it's Henderson coming back, and I don't think any of us want that. I mean, not me anyway. Not me anyway.
You know that's again, like I said, 6 months to end up with Flawless Summer. Would that be a great idea for you, or is it what the manager wants in terms of he has a specific style, a specific like person that he wants in? Because if you're then doing that, that would be a kind of a short-term option as well. Because he's only 33, so it's not really long-term thinking. So that's why it don't make sense for me the Summer one because he's free.
Yeah. With Summer, only from what I've seen, I'm not like, go and get him. But again, I've not watched him week in, week out. What it would do if we did let De Gea go in 6 months is show the intent. That's a ruthless streak. That's a statement. If we were to let De Gea go and go out and get another goalkeeper, it lets everybody know within the side, nobody's safe. Because nobody was expecting David De Gea to move on. Not this season. Like I said just before, I thought he would get moved on eventually, but I didn't think it would be this season. So let's say hypothetically, it does happen in the summer. That's a statement of intent. And that shows the managers, he's trying to improve the squad expeditiously, which I am all for. Because again, he's trying to play a certain style. And Double A mentioned it. I mention it all the time when we talk about finding players. Go and scout. You telling me you can't find a goalkeeper that works for Manchester United? You do not need to be in the scouting job. You have United have all of the resources available to go and find a goalkeeper. We have the finances. We should have the people. You telling me what? These men not got fuel for the jet? Like, what's going on? Go and scout. Like, it's really like, look at Alisson, for instance. Who was talking about Alisson before he came to Liverpool? Yes, there's someone who's watching this now who would have known about it, but I'm talking general consensus. General consensus before Alisson went to Liverpool, nobody was talking about him. No one was saying this is a world-class goalkeeper. What a steal for him. So Liverpool went and found him somewhere. Same with City at Edison and same with other goalkeepers. 90%. That's just most players. Most players are found eventually. You know what I'm saying? Like some players come through their youth academies and they're talked about from when they're a kid and we know they're going to be a star, but that's like 1%. So if City can do it and Liverpool can do it and we've seen other teams go and do it, why can we not do it? Teams without our resources, I say this all the time, without our resources and our finances, go and find players. So how come all of a sudden when it comes to, we can't find goalkeepers? We've all here played FIFA and Football Manager. I use this all the time. You go and scout, you scout. You know what I'm saying? You put in the details that you need, and yes, it's a game and I'm running bants with it, but if you can do that on a game, you can do that in real life. Is it easy? No. But that's why they're paid millions upon millions to do these things. Go and find results. Our scouting network is paid a lot of money. Our recruitment team is paid a lot of money. Go and do your job and go locate a goalkeeper for Manchester United.
this is the thing, Joe James. You know what I mean? The scouting team, can they do it? And like I said, it will cost a lot of money now that Man United are looking for a keeper. You know what I mean? I don't know if Jan Sommer's contract runs out. Let me know in the chat as well, and make sure you guys are liking the video, people. But you know, from what we have in our budget, you know what I mean? Is this a necessary requirement to spend on a budget, or like I said, you know what I mean? Do the scout need to do better? Because at the end of the day, I think Edison, I think they got it for like 28 million. Allison as well. Obviously, it was big money, but still, you know what I mean? Good scouting in their department. Can the scouts get a top keeper now? Can they find it? I don't think they can. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, the new owners coming in, what's their role right now? They could be gone in about 6 months.
Yeah, listen, we don't know. There's so much up in the air at Manchester United, isn't there? When it comes to scouting, we do well sometimes, we don't do well other times. You got to rewind back to 2020. We got Alejandro Garnacho for 200 grand or whatever from Atletico, and he looks to be already worth a 10, 15, 20 million pound player with the potential to become a 100 million pound player in a couple of years and potential future superstar. So we can do it. It's just, unfortunately, it's a bit harder than people think it is from playing Championship Manager and FIFA, where they can just set their scout to a region, they fly out on a jet to South America, and they come back with 10 keepers who are going to make you world class in the Premier League. It just doesn't work like that, unfortunately. It is quite tough. On the budget you mentioned, it's like, well, what budget? Because everything I've heard, the news coming out of the club is basically saying that we spent so much in summer, we can't really have any money in January. So you say, is there room in the budget for a goalkeeper? My answer to that would be there's no budget. So there's no room when there's no budget. That's simple. So we have to look at cheaper options. We have to look at loan options. As much as we may hate it, and Double A mentioned it, we may have to look at Dean Henderson. I know people don't want to hear that, but realistically, he's on the books at Manchester United, and that could be an option if they want to go down the saving money route. And you have to save money when there's no money.
Dean Henderson, I'm just not sure about him. I think
neither am I. None of us are sure. None of us are sure.
Yeah, I think for me, someone say get the Croatia goalkeeper. I think he's been impressive in the tournament. I really do. I think he's been one of the standout keepers. I think Bono has also been outstanding as well.
Also, sorry, Saeed, can you scroll up? There was a comment about Real Madrid, if you can bring it up. You know, about Vinicius being on like low wages.
Oh, I think he was.
I just like to bring it up because people have this idea that all other clubs are run better than Manchester United, and there's certain things that other clubs do really well, and there's certain things that clubs do poorly, right? And like everyone mentions the fact that they've got Vinicius on 40k and Rodrigo on 70k, but they're not mentioning the fact they've just spent 70 million pound on a 16-year-old. So there's pros and cons, right? We don't have 70 million pounds to go and spend on a 16-year-old. We have to go and find a 16-year-old or an 18-year-old and go and pay 200 grand to Atletico and find him. So it's not all equal. You can't just look at something and say they're run perfectly. It doesn't work like that.
Absolutely. I think that's the point, you got to make, because at the end of the day, the manager's obviously now cleansing the squad. He's trying to input his ideas. And for me, it's a good thing, isn't it? Like I said, if this means that, he's starting to take shape and he's starting to imprint and kind of make a stand on his team, I think it bodes well, because then he's not kind of looking at, oh, well, I don't want to upset this type of fans. I don't want to upset. Or my argument would be just maybe let's try and get the wages lower and then keep us some backup. Because I'm not really rating Dubravka. I think David De Gea would stand up to the challenge. I think he's done it throughout his career. I remember when Romero was coming in, he stood up to the challenge there and reclaimed his spot. So I think he would be up to the challenge. But again, it just depends on whether United are going to be doing anything. So we'll have to just see on that one, innit? Just want to touch on the striking option in terms of Man United being linked with. Oh, 1 second. I'm just going to read the super chat here. It says here, big up to Prem Prodigy. He says, but if Ten Hag don't want De Gea, then what we're saying here, surely if Ten Hag is the manager, we have to back him now. Why does David De Gea get to just stay?
This is exactly what I said. That's exactly what I said. I know Preem's probably just joined, but that's exactly what I said when I was asked about it. If he doesn't want him, cool. I have no issue with David De Gea leaving, whether it's for money or it's on a free. Like I said in it, let's start raising like our expectation. Well, not raising our expectation. We should expect our club to do the best they possibly can. So that's what approach it correctly. We're not saying United should win everything, but our approach should be to win everything. The same way we expect the most from players on the pitch, we expect the most from the manager, we should expect the most from the medical team. We should expect the most from our scouting stuff. Like I said, and if you're not up to the job, you should be moved on. Like, that's how I'm looking at it. Like, we are very critical of players when they play poorly. If Ten Hag does something, or previous managers, we've criticized them. If our medical team's not up to it, we've criticized them. And it should be the same for the scouting team as well. Like, Garnacho's a good one. Like, that's a great spot. So if you can do that, you should do that further. Obviously, you're gonna get misses, of course. But like I said, you're paid a lot of money to do a job, so you should get more hits than misses.
Absolutely. Very, very good point, man. Big up to the community. There's over 300 in the building. Make sure you guys are following all these guys' channels.
Hit the like button on the chat. Hit the like button, man. I know the likes ain't enough, so you lot bump up the likes and subscribe to Saeed's channel, man.
Big up, man. Big up to the community. We're going to speak on Yusuf Mukayoko. I don't know if you've seen a lot of him, guys. Double A, I'll start off with you, but Yusuf Mukayoko is on the list of Man United, Liverpool, and Newcastle. His contract expires this summer, and teams can start negotiating January the 1st. I think his agent came out and said nothing's been agreed or anything like that. So, listen, this one looks like it might be an option. He's only, I think, 18 years old. It is going to be a gamble, but I think he's quality. I've seen bits of him. What are you saying on this transfer here in terms of a striker option? We need a striker. Would you go with this one youngster and then kind of like, develop him? Or would you take a Gakpo who's 23 but still raw? Where are you thinking? Because you could get him for about maybe 20 million. Maybe less. I don't know. Because obviously he's going to be a free transfer in the summer.
Yeah, I mean, going off that doesn't sound like it's going to be something for now. We need someone to be in January the 1st. And I think this is where a lot of fans should be worrying. I mean, all we're hearing is maybe a bid for Gakpo, maybe this, maybe that. Chelsea announced Nkunku today.
Yeah, is he coming in January or summer, Nkunku?
I think I'm not too sure. It would be a summer. I'm not too sure. I just know, obviously, they've got him. But we need the player to be there January 1st. We've got so many games coming up. We can't afford to be relying on Martial, really, and Rashford, and Sancho's away for a little bit. We are down to the bare bones, and I don't want Alanga to be playing every single week. That's harsh, maybe, but he's not good enough. With Mukayoko, obviously, he's gone to the World Cup with Germany. Clearly, very rated by them and German football. I mean, personally, I wouldn't want an 18-year-old to be coming in January and be expected to carry the weight of being our first choice number 9. I think that's unfair. If he doesn't hit the ground running, we find ourselves in another Sancho situation. And that's the last thing we want to do, whether it costs 20 million or 50 million. We need to be getting someone experienced in, someone who's going to come straight into the team and be a hit and bang the goals in. That's what we need. And yeah, Gakpo looks like he's potentially going to be the one that we go for. 50 million, 60 million, whatever it is, just go and get it done. I'm not bothered. But yeah, I don't think an 18-year-old is what we should really be going for. I think it's a lot of pressure on a young man's shoulders. And it's not going to help anyone if he flops at the beginning.
Yeah. Flawless, I don't know if you've seen much of him, but in terms of forwards, obviously, bro, there's hardly anything out there, man. Unless we go for a Felix, unless we go in for Gakpo and pay probably more than we should, if I'm being honest with you, especially what PSV want. We are desperate because at the end of the day, we don't have we have one striker, and obviously Martial can't be relied upon. You've seen it time and time again. Just for some Mukayoko and just in general striking options, what are you saying right now? Because we need one, innit? Desperately.
Yeah. With Mukayoko, I don't know nothing about him, so I'm not even gonna lie. I know nothing about. How old is he? I'm guessing he's a youngster.
18.
He's 18, so he's a kid. All right, so I suppose that's good. They're saying his contract does expire this summer, so we can talk to clubs from January. So if we were to sign him if we were to try and sign him in January, obviously it would be cheaper because you're negotiating from the stronger position. Or if you go and try and get him for in the summer. But you mentioned it there, strikers, we talk about it. So it's a weekly theme on the show where we talk about Manchester United striking options and the lack of, and how desperately we need strikers, like 100%. Even if we go and try and get somebody on loan or something like that. Because I just think we need two. With the AA mentioned it there, we've all mentioned it. The amount of games that are coming up. There's times where it's 3 games a week. Like there's legit, like even when I was looking at the schedules yesterday, and I think like the next round, the FA Cup, third round, and I think the next round of the Carabao Cup is the same weekend. So it's like if we get past Burnley, I think so. Don't quote me on that. But I was looking at it, I was like, how's this working out? So I think it's the same week. So it's like that would be, say we were to get past Burnley. I know we're in the third round of the FA Cup. I believe that would have to get moved. So where would that FA Cup game go? And then you're back, and then you're having probably to move another game to get that around. So the games is stacking up, and injuries is going to happen. Suspensions is going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Loss of form or things out of the club's control in terms of Sancho, because we don't know exactly what's going on there. So yeah, like we need bodies, 100%. Like we need so go and sign a couple, even if it is short term, and you go and get a loan. But we can't. If we go into this January window and come out signing nobody, that's a big indicator of where we're at. Like, because Ten Hag needs players. I think he said it himself. Did he not say it himself? I could be wrong on that.
Yeah,
I see the quote saying
he's been talking about it all.
Yeah, he said it himself.
He wants numbers.
That lets me know where the club are trying to go with, and like in terms of success, because I genuinely believe we can have a very successful season this season. But we need to sign somebody. Martial, we can't be. I'm a fan of Martial. Can't be relied upon. So what we're gonna do once he gets injured? Go the whole season with no recognized striker.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. So yeah, hopefully we sign a couple strikers.
Yeah. I look at Mukiyoko. I think he's a raw talent. I think he's someone that I think, we haven't done well in terms of Ahmad and Pelestri. You know what I mean? Recent history. We haven't, because of the day, we brought them without a plan. I think this guy, there would be a plan, because I think for me, we haven't got strikers anyway, so he would get game time. You know what I mean? There has to be some sort of game time for this guy because of the strike. If he was a winger, I would have said, well, to be fair, he can play across the front three. But as a direct striker, you know what I mean? I think for me, that would be ideal. James, what were you saying in terms of, first of all, Mukiyoko, and the fact that, we could get him for about 10 to 20 million if we do go for him. But in general, the striking options now, going into January, you know what I mean? Like AA says there, we've not been linked with many, just the Gakpo, really.
Yeah, we need numbers. The guys have said it, but that's the most important thing for me. Whilst I obviously trust Ten Hag and back Ten Hag, I'm very weary of us just getting anyone in. I'd rather us put square pegs in square holes and round pegs in round holes. I think we've got too many people that can play across the front three, and we don't have a number 9. So that is a slight worry with Cody Gakpo. But if Ten Hag thinks that he's the man and thinks that he can play across the front three and he will morph into a striker, then I'm all for it. But there isn't many options out there. If he was to come from Dortmund, you've got to look at it and think, on one hand, we're saying don't chuck money at players, right? But why would he leave Dortmund to come to us? Dortmund have one of the best youth footballing policies in the world. All the success that comes out of there from the players aged 18 to 21, just look at it over the past couple of years. They're a conveyor belt for talent, like over and over again. So if I was him, I'm looking at it and thinking, realistically, I'm just using this. I'm getting my agent to put it out, and I just want a contract offer from Dortmund. That's the way I see it. I think he's just using Manchester United's name. He's just using other clubs' names to try and get a new contract. The only reason that he would come to Manchester United, I think, is money, and we'd have to chuck a fair amount at it. And if we're Manchester United and we're penny pinching at the moment, which realistically we are because we spent a huge amount in the summer, then are we going to spend 10, 20 million in January for a player that we can get free in the summer? No. History says we don't do that. We'll wait until we can get a cheaper deal. So I don't see him coming in January. At the very, very best scenario is I think we get Gakpo in January, and then we get this kid as a backup in the summer for free.
Are you a fan of Gakpo?
Listen, from what I've seen in the World Cup, yes. From what I've seen in the Eredivisie, yes. His numbers are superb. I am always a bit kind of skeptical about players with great stats from there, like Dirk Kuyt, Memphis Depay were breaking all kinds of records, goal scoring wise, in that league, and they came over here, and you wouldn't exactly like describe them as prolific, right? So I'm kind of like, he does impress me, and 40 million, 50 million quid, I think it's worth a punt, definitely. He looks like he can hold the ball up well. His movement looks good. He's good in the air. He's tough. He's strong. Like I like the look of him. And listen, we can say what we want about the player. We can look at his FIFA rating player card all we want. But the bottom line is, if Ten Hag trusts the player, Ten Hag wants the player, then we're all going to get behind it, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. Like I said, double A 50 million bid for Cody Gakpo once the transfer window opens, being like as a replacement for Ronaldo. There's the fact that we are going for a player who traditionally plays on a wing as a striker. Is that the way now strikers are going in? The market now, you don't really have traditional number 9s anymore. They're few and far between. Either Tony Vlahovic are probably the ones that are linked with now. But what are you saying in terms of just the whole Gakpo situation? Do we need to get this done quickly as possible?
I think, the Glazers must be absolutely shitting themselves because they weren't expecting this. They weren't expecting Ronaldo to leave. So they thought, we'll get through to the summer. If we sell the club, we don't have to spend another penny and we can get out with 7 billion or whatever. Ronaldo doing this, I imagine they've absolutely dropped a load because now they're thinking, shit, we need to do something. And I think that the only way I can think we will actually go and properly spend money, I think, I can't trust them owners as far as I can throw them. And they would try and get through January with nothing and just tell Ten Hag to deal with what he's got. We saw that with the right back situation in the summer with Wan-Bissaka. I believe that they refused to sell him, even though they had a bid. And I imagine, the only thing I can think of, if we have a buyer in place, the rumors, if you believe the rumors that someone is going to buy it, the new owners say, listen, spend what you need to spend in Jan. We'll bankroll that. That's not a problem. And that gets us through to the end of the season. If we spend 50 million, the thing is, I think what people may be confusing with the Gakpo situation is they think he's going to come in and be the number 9 and we never buy anyone else again. Why can we not go and get Gakpo, who's a great player across the front 3, get him in now and to see us to the end of the season, and then we go and get Osherman, we go and get a Vlahovic, we go and get a Tony in the summer. It's just a player to bring in that strengthens our attacking options, and then in the summer we go and spend another however much on another 5 players, and then we've got a player that plays across the front 3 that's a lot stronger than Elanga, who then goes out on loan, and it's just another string to our bow in terms of our attacking options. So 50 million euros for a player that's in the form that he is quite a steal, to be honest. We overspent on Anthony, we overspent on a few players in the summer. Just go and get it, and if the money's there, let's just get it done and get him in.
Big up Eric Baker. He says all sources say Chelsea are favourites to sign Mukayoko. I think Chelsea's starting to buy a couple of youngsters now for Fafana. They bought in the summer that midfielder. And obviously, they're getting Nkunku right now. But listen, Chelsea, man, we've seen this before, man. And like I said, most of them, they end up flopping, man. So we'll see. We'll see what
those are a team in dire straits, man. They need all them players. You know what I'm saying? They're in a bad way. They're in a bad situation in terms of players.
That's facts, by the way. Like, that comment is facts. Like, I don't know where Double A is getting his money tree from or whether they're accepting monopoly money. But like, just spending 50 million on a stopgap to then spend another 90 million in the summer, like, unless we're getting taken over by Dubai or something, mate, there's no way in a million years that happens. Like, I'd love it to, don't get me wrong, absolutely. And that mentality and those standards that we talked about, I'd love it. Perfect mentality. But realism has to come into it at some point. We're not spending 150 million pound, 140 million pound on 2 strikers. We're just not.
Well, listen, Caleb's saying, where's 50 million coming from? Forget anything else. He said, listen, where's that 50
what does
million?
he mean? Does he mean where's it coming from us or the value that Gakpo's been at? Or is it us?
He means from us. Listen, I'm not saying we have the money. I'm trying to put it in context of if they're saying United are going to put a 50 million pound bid in, this money's coming from somewhere. If the new owners are, I can only imagine the new owners are going to be rich. That's the only thing. Someone to buy Manchester United for 7 billion. They're going to have deep pockets, aren't they? So if they're saying, if we do get taken over, it's not going to be about another Glazers, is it? So, you know, I'm trying to think of reasons why we've got 50 million, because if you believe the reports coming out, you know, we're broke. We're heading to the job center soon. You know,
but even outside of that, we know the money's there. The question is if they want to spend it, because this was the conversation in the summer. You know what I'm saying the conversation in the summer was Manchester United can't spend 200 million, 250 million. How much did we spend? Was it 250 in total? You know what I'm saying that was the entire this summer just gone when we yeah. So it was over 300 million. If we were all here before the summer started, no one was saying United because we'll spend over 300 million. The money is there. We all know Manchester United generate money. If they want to spend it is the question.
Yeah,
it cost us 50 million. 110%. There's 50 million for Gakpo. Now, do they want to spend that money? That is the question that needs to be asked. But is the money? Yeah, the same way we just spent 300 M's and no one was expecting that. I wasn't expecting that. I said 4 players maximum, 200 M's. Even I was like, rah. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't let these men do. The money's there, 100%.
For them to go from Arnautovic and Rabiot to then Casemiro and Antony, something happened there. For them to think, right, well, this money's here. Then for them 2 players that were 50 million each, to then go and spend over 100 million on 2 players, something along that, and you can only link it back to the sale. So they already knew they were selling the club. They must have had someone come in and say, well, spend it.
I don't think we get it at all. That money's not there. Like, if you read the cash reports, there's 20 million cash in Manchester United right now. The fact we spent 200 million just means more debt is being leveraged onto the club with higher interest rates, which puts us in more problems. You're forgetting who owns us. They're not cash rich. They don't have cash. So by us wanting to spend more money that we don't have, we're increasing the debt on the club, which puts us in a bigger problem. And we're fighting against the very people that we're getting annoyed against. So we're all getting ourselves in a big mess, thinking we just spend our way out of it. Spending your way out of it's great when you've got money. Right, but if you live in a shit house and you want to move to a big house, great. If you've got £1 million to go and spend on the house, fantastic. But if you've not, you end up getting a bigger mortgage and putting yourself in more debt, and then your £1,000 a month job can't pay you £2,500 a month mortgage, and you end up in shit. So we're just like, we're not understanding it from a financial point of view. We're just like, oh yeah, click this, the money will go. It won't. That 200 million in the summer, some of it was paid up front, and a lot of it is paid in installments in the future from money that we don't even have. We're not cash rich in the bank. We're asset rich, and we're
like 300 million that they owe in transfers, isn't it, or something like that?
It's over 200.
Well, we owe.
That is common.
We know we do bad business, but like players we'll still sign, even though it is bad business from the Glazers, we will continue to sign players. Whether it's January or in the summer, we will do so. Say the Glazers don't sell and they stay. They will sign players in the summer. Glazers have been doing this. Like, they will sign players. So when I say the money's there, I'm talking about not in terms of paying it all up front, but getting it over the line. Like, because people know we're good for it. You know what I'm saying? There's been no reports ever came out and been like, United owe such and such and can't pay them. So when I say the money's there, I'm talking about getting deals done. If they really, really wanted to sign, let's just use Gakpo as an example, in January, they could make it happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not a question of, they wouldn't get their money, even if it was further down the line or it was down the line, yeah. Same way in the summer.
What's stopping you from getting 10 credit cards and kitting out your house with widescreen TVs, like the flashiest everything? There's nothing stopping you doing that apart from common sense. Like, you can put as much debt onto yourself as you want, but if you're not got enough money coming in to deal with that debt, Faz came in the chat and put something in, and I agree with it completely. We didn't pay 200 million. We put it on a credit card. We basically put it on a debt that we're not paying. Like, the interest on the debt alone under the Glazers. And
getting too giddy with the Argos card. That's not crazy.
Too giddy with the Argos card.
All these people complaining about the Glazers. You're all helping the Glazers. It's ridiculous. You're going on protests and thinking you want to get the Glazers out. Then you're helping them leverage £200 million on the club. It's absolutely nuts. The interest on the debt under the Glazers is £850 million. We all go on about these dividends that they took out of 150 million, but 6 times the amount that they've taken out in dividends is interest on debt that they've not put in the club, and you're all wanting them to spend more. We just don't get it. We don't.
I think big up to Paul Taney. Thanks for the super chat. Appreciate it, mate. He goes, Ramos of Benfica would be a good signing. Okay, day though. Could we offer a player in the deal? Well, I wish we could have any players. I like Bakayoko, however, think Kudus would be better. And Eric Ten Hag did sign him for Ajax. Jean Duran, Chicago Fire, good. I don't know. Does anyone know that? John Duran, Chicago Fire.
Nah.
I'll go research him. I'll go research him tonight, Paul. But I appreciate the super chat, mate. And Keller Billet says, I can only imagine it's from their pockets. Which comment did Faz say, by the way? Which comment is it in here?
He scrolled up. He basically said, we paid in credit debt, not cash money. We overall spent £220 million. It scrolled up. It's 8:49 p.m. He put it. But basically, that was it. And it's like, I listen, I want us to have the best in class. I want us to spend all this money, but there has to be a thing where you have to look at things realistically. And money doesn't fall off trees. Like, it doesn't grow on trees. It doesn't just fall at your feet. This all gets lumped on Manchester United. And like, I think people just don't grasp it sometimes. They're just like, they're jealous of how City are ran and how Newcastle are now ran and how Chelsea are ran. You can't compare us. We're not in the same situation. They have that money in collateral. They have that cash there to spend that money. We don't. We can't spend money.
Yeah, I think it's like the feeling of, I think what Flawless made me thinking is that we still got to run as a football club. We've still got to compete. There's this, what do we end up doing then? What does Ten Hag just end up leaving? And then later on, he's like, you know what?
Facts, because we know the Glazers are crooks, and they've been doing this. This is nothing new. Like, we know. Is it ideal? No, of course not. But then, what is the alternative? Like, do we want? Of course, you don't want the club. None of us want the club in debt and it be a lump sum. But the Glazers been like, man, what did you say? It was 850 million already. So they've been doing this for a long time. Faz there said that we mentioned that we spent 220 M's. All right, so we spent 220 M's. The United still have to function as a football club. Like the analogy of using a me or someone and saying, what's stopping me from going out and getting 10 credit cards? I'm an individual. This is a football club. That's the major difference. Like, that's what it is. Like, if it was me doing that, the people in charge ain't gonna get their money. Them banks and them credit cards ain't gonna get their money. Whereas United, eventually, these people are gonna get their money. Like I said, no, there's been no bailiffs. No one's pulled up to Old Trafford and be like, yo, where's the... So eventually, they've sorted it out. Somehow they're patterning and managing to do deals still.
So you start pulling levers like Barcelona, and you end up in a hell of a lot of trouble, and you start getting points deductions, and you start getting all sorts like that. Well, like, we're not a million miles away from that happening. We're really not. If the Glazers decide not to sell, we're not a million miles away from being in trouble.
But if they don't, we have no impact on that. The money that the Glazers spend, I have zero impact on that. If the Glazers don't listen to me and go, we're going to sign Gakpo based off of what I say. If they want to go and sign Gakpo, they're going to go and sign Gakpo. If they don't want to sign Gakpo, they don't. They pay attention to fan rebellion, yeah.
Well, they listened to an extent. Matovic and Rabiot when they went and signed Casemiro for 70 million, so they do listen.
All right, to an extent, but if they really, really listen, they would sell the club. That goes to show how much they care. We've wanted them out for the longest. How long they've been here since, what, 05? We're in 2022. So, yeah, well, do the Glazers pay attention? Yes, but do they truly No, they don't truly It's the same way people were saying, oh, Ronaldo make the Glazers sell up. No, the Glazers do what they want. Do they pay attention when we rarely kick off a fuss? Yes, when we rarely do. But how often we can't even stay united as a fan base? So, like I said, on the Gakpo thing, because that's what we're talking about in particular in January, they're not paying attention to us. I completely disagree with that and don't think they're going to go, yeah, the fans want Gakpo, so let's go and get Gakpo. All I'm saying is if they really want to sign him, even if it's wrong for the club long term, which I do agree with, they'll go and get him because we still have to function, but they are trying to sell, which is a good thing.
I think ultimately there's two ways of looking at it. There's one way of, like I said, they want to make sure that the manager, is happy and whatnot. And also they need to make this a good proposition for the new owners to come in, knowing that there's still top players at the football club. You know what I mean? Double A though, in terms of like what you hear from Glazers, the fact that they said it's a process and whatnot, you know what I mean? The fact that they did talk about maybe an investor. Is it as simple as that, or do you think they're looking for new owners? Because I'm for me, it's still a bit, it was, don't know, it just like feeling a bit cryptic, the messages. What did you take from it? Because we are talking about it has diverted to ownership, and that's where the transfers will come from, really.
Well, they've never said anything, have they? All we can take is a little snippets that we see, because they're going to play their cards very close to their chest, whether that's getting investment in or it is a full sale. That they're going to keep it as quiet as possible because they don't want to give the fans anything to jump on. That we're desperate for that. In the first statement, it said about a sale was potentially there. Ten Hag coming out and saying investment in the quotes this week worried a lot of fans because they're worried that doesn't sound like a full sale when Richard Arnold's talking about investment. So I want to be excited because I want them to go. Everything James is saying is absolutely right. They're a cancer on this club. That's exactly what they've been for since 2005. They've done nothing in a positive way to help this club progress. They've taken and taken and taken, and they've let the club fester to the point. We were talking the other week. Old Trafford is almost beyond repair to the point it's possibly easier to build a new stadium. There's no money. We're hoping on a wing and a prayer someone comes and rescues us. We're almost in the city camp of wanting a sugar daddy to come and tickle our balls a little bit and make us feel a lot better. And that's sorry.
It's all good, man. It's a full podcast. Do your thing, man. That's just me. I'm sorry. I wasn't expecting that.
But that's kind of where we are, and we just want to be positive. We want Manchester United to be the best club in the world, because that's what we have been, and that's what we aspire to be, because it felt like we had our balls tickled. It felt really good, and that's what we want again. I think personally, I'd love it to be that the sale is close. I think, and that's why maybe I'm being a bit optimistic, and that's why they spent the 200 million, because they know everything's going to be sorted out at the end of the season. That's why we're going to spend 50 million. And I'm not saying Gakpo's a stopgap, but what I'm saying is Gakpo's a great option for us to bring in now, and then we go and sort the number 9 situation out in the summer. It's just another great squad addition that we can go and get in January. I'm hoping it's the reason, that it's being bankrolled by these new owners, because by May, they're going to be gone. The debt's gone. Everything's sorted. And that's what we have to look. We have to try and be positive, even though James has said it is very, very bleak.
Absolutely. Big up to Paul Taylor. He says, like your comment, Saeed, on getting Argos.
You've gone wild with the Argos card, Joe.
Yeah, that's what you do. You put it on the Argos card, and then you start to say to yourself, bloody hell, mate, you spent a lot here. You start, 6 months going around the corner. That's what United are effectively doing for 17 years. Keller Bailey says, no investor wants to invest. It's too much of a risk. Jay's going to come up with you. If you I know we don't want to be in the shoes of the Glazers, but you do not think, just lowering your kind of valuation by United, get to 4 or 5 billion, get out of the football club. You don't have to deal with the debt, because at the end of the day, you leave the debt with the new owners, rather than seeking investment. Who then, I think for me, investment looks a bit unlikely, because I'm like, who would want to invest in a football club where you don't have any say in it? Like you're not going to have any say in it. They're going to literally make sure you're silent. You're just going to be told, right, give us the money, and then we'll give you to this little, NFL Super Bowl here and there. We'll take you down here for a quick meeting, or quick little, red cafe with the legends. We'll give you something in exchange for it. Well, I just don't think, for me, it makes sense to get an investor. Go and get an ownership. Go and give the ownership to someone else. Get your 5 billion out, and then you've made money, mate. You bought the club on 700 million. And now you're raking in 4 or 5 billion. Like, come on, man. That what makes sense. But again, what makes sense to us doesn't make sense to the Glazers, does it?
There's different types of people, mate. So I'll use crypto and Bitcoin as an example, right? There are people that bought Bitcoin at $1, and when it got to $10, they sold. They were happy. They 10x their money. There's people that sold for $1,000. There's people that waited for it to get to $20,000 and then they sold. There's people that when it got to 20,000 still waited, because they're risk takers. They're willing to take a risk for a bigger gamble at the end of the road. The Glazers invested £250 million of their own money into the football club. That is now worth 5 billion at least. So they've 20x their money. Now, if you speak to me and I'm in their shoes and I'm getting hate off people all the time, my family are getting death threats, I'm getting abuse everywhere I look, I'm getting hassle everywhere I look, then yeah, I'm taking 20x of my money, but I'm also not a multi-millionaire. So I see things differently. I'm happy to turn a profit. I'm happy for that return on my money. They are very, very astute business people, whether we like it or not. They are very, very savvy financial people. I was at the Vallecano fixture pre-season, the friendly, and literally I said to people at the time, I think I was chatting to KG and a couple of other guys outside the ground, right? The queue for the megastore was 4 people wide and about 300 people deep in each thing. I just turned around to him and I was like, if you think the Glazers are selling you are mad, mate, because this is an absolute cash cow. This is a pre-season friendly, and all these people, like us hardcore United fans that go every week, we can all sing Glazers out as much as we want. We can all sing Joel Glazer's going to die, all this nonsense, but you've still got a pre-season friendly thousands of people queuing up to spend their money in an overpriced megastore, and that goes directly into the Glazers' pockets. So these guys know that they're going to make money. They're quite happy to let their investments sit for a little bit. And it's up to them what they want to do with the football club. We can put as much pressure on as we want, but like Flawless said before, do they really care what we think? Like when we kick up a massive fuss, maybe sometimes they do, but the majority of the time they don't. So yeah, it's surprising to me and you because we act and think in a certain way, but they are money people. They're going to make a business decision based on business finances and what is best for them. And unfortunately, what's best for them might not be them doing a full sale of the football club.
Absolutely, and this is pretty much it. And like I said, the decisions that to be made in January will have an impact. I think is it Sky Sports Dharma Chef was saying that United, you know what I mean, it's not likely that they will spend money in January, and it might depend on loan transfers. And this is Dharma Chef, who, you know, like I said, you know what I mean, reputable guy on Sky Sports. And this could be the reality. But again, I just hope that Ten Hag, you know what I mean, because he's been told by the people above, and he said it in the quotes that he said, you know what, there's going to be investment coming. Whether they've told him to hold out until, you know what I mean, what do you call it, summer is another thing. But then again, you leave a season maybe possibly not getting top four again, which is a big issue. What are you going to say?
You talk about if it's loans only. If we go and get João Felix on a loan with an obligation to buy in the summer, I think we'd all be happy with that. You know, it's about, again, being smart and being savvy and finding them deals. That could be one that we could potentially do. I'd be happy with that. I know, you know, we had a decent World Cup, and it's another player that comes in that knows Bruno, knows the low, could hopefully fit straight in. I think apparently we did go for him just before we went and got Anthony, but obviously they balked at the price. Who knows? I mean, it's going to be interesting, January for sure, but I think we're all going into it a little bit tentative and a little bit worried because there potentially is going to be no one coming in, and then, you know, Ten Hag's let down, as many managers have been let down by this ownership and this structure at this club.
Are you positive, Flawless, for January? Just kind of before we kind of wrap up. Are you positive about January?
Split. You know what I'm saying? Split, because I really think it's season defining. I think it's that important. I think we are legit 2-3 players away from just having a successful season. Double A mentioned it there, loan players. Even if we go sign a couple players on loan, if we were to bring in a striker on loan, a right back on loan, we just can't sign anybody. There's such a, to me, maybe it's just me like thinking this, I think there's such a big opportunity to do something significant this season. And if we don't sign anybody, it's just a missed opportunity. That's legit how I'm looking at it. So I am split. I really want to believe that Manchester United have slightly changed, and the summer wasn't a one-off, and we're actually doing what's best for the interests of the football club on the pitch. Because I love the summer we had. I love the window we had. It surprised me. I like the players we brought in. And I'm hoping we go then. And that's a great start. But we then go then and back that up with signings in January. Again, it don't have to be. With João Felix, I've said loan deal. Don't go and spend 80, 90, 100 million on him. Go and get him with the loan deal obligation to buy. Go get a right back. Or even if we were, I don't know if we can. I know Laird's out on loan. Even if we recalled him and went and got him back. Because at this moment in time, we need bodies. And we've seen the impact the summer with the players who were signed in the summer. We've seen the impact they've had on the team. So how could 2 more players could have similar impact, which then takes us up another couple of levels as well. We spoke in depth already about the amount of games that are coming up. And I don't want Manchester United to fall short just because of injuries and because we don't have enough bodies. Like, I want it to be a quality thing. Let it be a quality thing where we fell short and we just weren't
out of your control.
Yeah, so you're going to where you hold your hands up and go, you know what? That team was just better. We fell short in the Europa League because of such and such. Same in the Premier League, same with the FA Cup. But don't just fall short. Oh, you know what? We just depleted. You know what I'm saying? We had 6 injuries and we couldn't even fill our bench, or the bench was filled with academy kids. Yeah. That's just disappointing. You know, so yeah, man. I'm hoping, man. I'm on the hope train in terms of signing. That's unlike me, but I'm on the hope train when it comes to January.
Absolutely.
Before we wrap up, strikes at the minute, so you might be on that for a while, mate.
It is, man. As long as we get to the destination, it come the end of January. That's what it's about. Let's get to the destination. I don't care how long it takes. I don't care who it is. Yo, just please, just go and sign some players.
Just get there.
We desperate, man. Please
sign me some players, man. That's what it's about, man. Big up to Paul Tierney again with another super chat. Appreciate it, mate. Goes, question 1: are the Glazers the worst owners ever? Are the Glazers worst ever owners? Was Mike Ashley worse? I can't remember many that come close to them. Now we might. P.S. Thanks for the show, all. Big up to you. I think so because of the fact that at least Mike Ashley didn't leave any. Did he leave any debt? I don't think he did. And also, they were allowed to spend a little bit more now because they didn't spend a lot. Their net spend now is greater. Now FFP, they're going to be a bit loose on them. So I think for me, even though he's not letting them spend money, you know what I mean? Now they can spend more freely now without FFP kind of going with them. But is everyone on the same consensus of them?
The way they bought the club, the way they've never communicated with the fans, never had a relationship with the fans, clearly out to rinse us, and the way they left the club, like it's inconceivable from the club they took over to the club that they're leaving. If they leave, it's almost two different clubs.
Yeah, and what the crazy part is, if they actually if they did try and make Manchester United successful the entire time they've been here, what don't make sense to me is they could have made more money, because then United would have been more successful. Then we would have been a more high value asset. And then when you go into sponsorship deals and things of that nature, you can ask for more money because you can say United, the current reigning Premier League champions, win the Champions League, etc. Like that's one thing. Yes, they've made big money, but it's like the more profitable, the more successful they could have made Manchester United, then you have a better asset to deal with when you're going into sponsorship deals and things of that nature.
You know, the funny thing is the share price is going to jump so much the day after we sell the club, because you're going to get loads of fans reinstating their MUTV subscription. You're going to get loads of people going to the mega store and buying official merchandise.
I'm buying the full kit, mate.
You do the full kit thing, fam, yeah? Full kit.
Yeah. I'll come on the show in full kits. 100%.
Yeah, I'm going to be every kit they sell. I'm going to be there. On the Glazers and Mike Ashley thing, it's interesting. Like, I think the Glazers are worse for us because it's personal and it's on a global scale because we're a bigger club than Newcastle will be. So that's why it's worse. But can you imagine them renaming the stadium to like Planet Glazers or something? Like that would go down like a shitstorm, right? So we've got to remember Mike Ashley wasn't exactly a great owner.
No, exactly.
They're both bad.
Best of evils, mate. Best of evils. Before we wrap up, prediction for tomorrow, I'm going to go with a France win 2-1. James, your prediction tomorrow. Lisandro Martinez and Varane, man. If Varane wins it, it's going to be 19 in 19 competitions, winning. Crazy, isn't it? Like,
I think if Varane wins it, what's he got? 2 World Cups and 4 Champions League by the age of like 28. It's insane, mate.
29, crazy.
He's a winner, man. Like I'm backing France to win. I think you've got Messi on one team, you've got Mbappe on the other, so you've got 2 world-class players that can make the difference, but you've got more game changers on France's team. I think Mbappe is backed up by better players than Messi is for Argentina. I think defensively, the main worry for France for me is the fact that Lloris is always open to a howler. Like, that's my favorite chant in all of football, by the way. It's like, whoop, whoop, it's a howler from Lloris.
I like that.
These are all like, whoop, whoop, it's a howler from Lloris.
Man like James, you know.
Oh my God, I've never, that's hilarious.
Honestly, mint chant. But like in general, I think he's their weak link. I think the rest of the team is strong. I think like bringing Benzema back would have been a mistake. I hope they stick with Giroud. I think he's been very good for them. And I fancy a France win 2-0.
Yep. Double A, what are you going for?
I kind of want Messi to do, boys. I think it's like the goalposts keep getting moved for it. Clearly, he's the best player that's ever been. I don't care. You talk about decades or different generations. No one is going to do what this guy has done on a football pitch. For me personally, and I just think it was he's never won an international tournament. Then he wins the Copa America, and now it's it needs to be a World Cup for him to be in that to be in the conversation. I've seen people say
that's wild.
You taking the piss? I
Yeah,
mean,
that's wild.
Yeah.
so I think it's geared up for him to do it. The first game they lost, everyone's like, they're going out in the group stages, and he's basically he's not carried the team, but he's still the main man for him. And I think for a 35-year-old to still be doing what he's doing, I just kind of want him to do it. It'd be good for obviously the Butcher to come back with a medal as well. Varane's already got one, so he's okay. Do you know what I mean? Let the Butcher come back with a World Cup medal, and yeah, I'll go for a 2-1 to Argentina.
And Flawless, man, you get me. Were you back in tomorrow, man?
I want France to win because I'd love to see Mbappe pick up. And I'm a big fan of Mbappe, so seeing him pick up back-to-back World Cups would be crazy. Who is fit for France though? Because I'm hearing that Giroud's got a knock. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm hearing this flu going around. Varane,
Man.
Kanate,
Yeah,
Upamecano. But because it's a World Cup final, I'm expecting the majority of them to pitch up and play. You ain't gonna let a virus or a flu, unless you're like bedbound, stop you from playing in a World Cup.
Oh,
Right? I
you
hear
don't
like the
like it.
Giroud.
Like a Tottenham West Ham thing.
Yeah. So it's like with that. So yeah, I favor France. Let's say the majority of their players are fit. I do favor France because I do believe they are the slightly better team. Of course, with Messi, you have that X factor on the Argentina side, as you do with France for Mbappe. But yeah, man, bring me. I want France win just to see the mental gymnastics to defend Messi if they lose. You know what I'm saying? Because that'd be 2 World Cup finals he's lost. He'll be 1-5 in international finals, and all of a sudden it's because the team's bad. Like people don't like well, praise him and all well do. If he wins the World Cup, he's legit. Like it strengthens his debate at being the GOAT because there's nothing he hasn't done at this point. There's zero he hasn't done at that point. But if he loses, we have to have on the flip side. I don't want to hear that the team wasn't good enough. We have to have the conversation about him because if they win, he'll take the majority of the praise, and rightfully so because he has been that good this tournament. But if they lose, don't tell me that Di Maria's no good and DePaul's a scrub and Otamendi's not good enough and Romero and Tagliafico. Nah. We gonna talk about Messi if he loses. You know what I'm saying? I just can't stand football stands, innit? Like as much as I'm a fan of Messi, stands annoy me because they can't criticize.
Look what they did to the girl, man. You see what happened to the girl, man?
Yeah,
The
serious.
girl.
That's out of order. The girl it's outrageous, man. There was a little girl
Crazy,
talking
man.
about Ronaldo. But then them
mum,
same people
Ronaldo.
defend Ronaldo. It's crazy.
Yeah, man. I think for me, football stands are the worst thing that's come to football, man.
Worst.
Yeah,
absolutely. They're the worst.
Honestly,
because they can't have a
back in the day. I just imagine we had like stands. That's why for me, when I was growing up, like just love every football. Like for me, stands. I just like, why, man? Like why?
You know why? Because they can't have objective conversations. Like we can all here have our favorite players, but I've heard all 4 of us here criticize our favorite players, criticize Manchester United, criticize that because we can look at things objectively. What I don't like about stands is there's no criticism, and if you criticize, you hating. It's an agenda, right? It's I'm just stating what happened.
Yeah, exactly. But listen, people, we're gonna wrap it up here. Big up to the community, man. Big up to all of you in the chat. Let's try and get to 200 likes. There's 350 of you in here. So let's get at least half the likes. It's been a good one, man. We've talked about everything in here. David De Gea, Glazers, you know what I mean? Down to Argos catalogue. That's what we're talking about today. So big up to the community. And obviously James as well. A bit of singing as well, karaoke. You know what I mean?
That chat is A1. That chat is A1.
Yeah. There you go, man. There you go, man. And obviously, we'll be back on Wednesday for the game as well. It's going to be here, man. On Wednesday, we're going to be there. Burn. It's going to be a cold one. Obviously, there's 12,000 of us.
You going, fam?
Yeah, I got my end was okay. I don't know what you guys. Double A, are you okay on Wednesday?
Nah, I'm good. They offered me a refund, but I'm good. I've sold mine anyway. Big up Cassie's going instead of me. So
yeah, okay, cool. James, are you going?
Yeah, I'll be there, mate. But it was 65,000 or something capacity? And
I think Alien Tenno didn't get his, man. Unlucky Alien Tenno, man. They took it off him. But listen, man, I think there's a lot of strikes going on. There's obviously people are fighting for their lives, man. So I've got no quarrels. If my ticket went, people have got bigger causes to do, man. So big up to the community. And like I said, I'll be back on Monday because the World Cup final. I'll be in London, so I'll see you on Monday for the Straight Jacket podcast. We're going to be gearing up to the Premier League season, and yeah, man, it's going to be exciting. People, take care. Oh no, sorry. Needs everyone to shout their channels. James, you go shout your channel.
Yeah, so on Twitter and stuff, James Dixon _PT, and then I've got a YouTube channel, Football and Fitness United. So football and then the &sign Fitness United. Go give it a follow, subscribe, all that fun stuff.
There you go, man. Make sure you go do that. His link is in the description. Double A as well. Talking Kits. Let them know if you got coming up.
Yeah, man. So my personal Twitter and Instagram is @maybe double, the word double, and A. And then Talking Kit as well on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, the best football kit content in the world. Back with our live show on Wednesday. Full kit rankers. We're looking at the best 10.
That's a wonder.
That's a great game.
I don't know what you're talking about. We're ranking the last 10 World Cup winners. So obviously the kit that wins tomorrow will be in there, and then going back the previous 9. So yeah, join us live at 9:30 every Wednesday. Come and subscribe. Come and join the fun, man. It's all good.
Big up, and obviously Flawless. Like I said, always the hardest working streamer, YouTuber in this game. Sarcasm City. Let them know what you're doing, man.
Yeah, people. Sarcasm City TV on YouTube and Twitch. We're going live 10 p.m. We'll be around 10 p.m. on the YouTube. FIFA 23 Pro Club. So I'll be there with the gang running Pro Clubs FIFA 23, and then there's an NBA watch along tonight on the Twitch. People on the Twitch, it is Suns Pelicans. So that'll be on the Twitch 2 a.m. So make sure you check that out. But yeah, Sarcasm City TV on YouTube. Subscribe there, and then go follow the Twitch Sarcasm City TV also, and Twitter and Instagram. That's me, Flawless. You can follow me across all my socials there. And big up for having me as always, Saeed, man. Much appreciated.
Big up all you guys, man. Big up. It's been a good chat, people. Like I said, like the video on your way out, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you soon, guys. Take care.